All right, y'all. Mystery Babylon. How do I know that the woman in Revelation 17 and 18 is Jerusalem and not the USA, not actual Babylon, and not the Vatican? It's going to be a long one, but I promise you're going to want this one. Now, if you follow my page and you've watched my content, by the way, I do have hours upon hours of content specifically going through the book of Revelation in great detail, cross references and everything. You know that I believe the book of Revelation to be the fulfillment of what Jesus told his disciples in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. So Matthew 24, verse 1, they had just come out of the temple, right? They left the temple in 23. Jesus had just cleansed it. Verse 1, and coming out from the temple, Jesus was going along, and his disciples came up to point out the temple buildings to him. And he answered and said to them, do you not see all these things? Truly I say to you, not one stone here will be left upon another, which will not be torn down. Now, Luke gives us a little added detail here. Verse 5, he says, and while some were talking about the temple, that it had been adorned with beautiful stones and dedicated gifts, he said, as for these things which you are looking at, the days will come in which there will not be left one stone upon another, which will not be torn down. Keep in mind, everything that comes after that in that conversation has to do with when the signs that the temple, that the stones will be torn down. Now, Matthew 24, Luke 21, those are just the setup. But I want you guys to realize how in Luke, they're talking about how beautiful the temple is, look how adorned it is with these stones and decorated gifts and all that stuff. Look here, Herod's temple, the second temple, was a sight to behold. My bad, everybody knew that. The problem was, just like I said in other videos, the Pharisees loved the temple too much. The Sadducees loved the temple too much. That's where they found their identity. That's why the temple became the image, or is represented as the image of the beast. But anyways, another piece of internal evidence is found in chapter 11. Now, in John's vision, he lets us know that he sees those two witnesses after they're done having their ministry, that they are killed and that their bodies are flung into the streets of that great city, which is called, in an allegorical sense, he says, Sodom and Egypt. Watch this, where their Lord was crucified. Now, that word right there is pneumatikos, and it, spiritually is what it means, but it could also refer to something being allegorical. We just know that this is not literally Sodom and it's not literally Egypt, but because of its depravity that it has found itself in, that's how John is referring to it. But just to give you more clarity so that you understand, that you don't misunderstand what he's talking about, he says, Ho kurios auton estarote. Okay, this is where he was crucified. So this is why I just find it really dumb when people try to be like, the USA, the US, the United States is Mystery Babylon. No, it's not, because Jesus wasn't crucified there. That's just one reason we know it's not. Now listen to me, guys. That great city, quote unquote, as first mentioned in chapter 11, is this great city, Babylon the Great. Remember, John is dealing with signs and symbols. He's not going to outright say this is Jerusalem, but so that we know it's Jerusalem, he made that comment. He left that clue where their Lord was crucified. We can't gloss over that. And we certainly can't leave that back in chapter 11. Let's see what it says. Indeed, God did not forget Babylon, the pompous. He made her drink of the cup of the furious wine of his outrage. The actual text says he gave her the wine of the wrath of his rage. The beginning of it says that the great city was split into three parts and the cities of the nations fell. This is in reference to the city being under siege when it was attacked by those soldiers, by Titus Vespasian, when it was finally brought down. And consider this, it's interesting that one of the bowls of wrath, or the vials of wrath, whatever your translation says, mentions that huge hailstones fell from the sky and destroyed the city. Literally, Titus Vespasian, you can go online and look this up. I have pictures of this in in the chapter 16 study. But they really catapulted the city with huge white stones. Like they really did this to destroy the city, as well as set it on fire. All right, now we're going to get to the meat of the matter. Now, y'all not going to like this, but this is true. This is 100% facts. There are many times in the Old Testament where Yahweh refers to Jerusalem and Israel as a whole and Judah as playing whores, playing the harlot because of their idolatry. The book of Revelation harkens back to a lot of Ezekiel and a lot of Daniel. So let me show you guys something that you may have never read before. Matter of fact, instead of making this too long, it's already at 5.5 minutes. We'll get to Ezekiel chapter 16 in the next video.